Throughout One Piece, despite its length of over 1100 chapters, there are still characters that we simply don't know much about. Dracul Mihawk is one of them. Being introduced as early as chapter 49, all we know is that he fought Shanks in the past and that he used to be called the Marine Hunter. But when did that start? How did he grow up? After over 1000 chapters, we just haven't seen much from him at all. Or Akainu. We know that he fought Aokiji on Punk Hazard, but let him live out of mercy. Despite seeming like a heartless monster in Ohara and Marineford, this shows us that Akainu does have some humanity to him. What relationship does Akainu have to Aokiji to make him do that? What is he actually like underneath the anger and bravado? However, one of the characters that we have almost zero information about their past at all is Dr. Kureha, Chopper's adoptive mother, if you will. She's currently the oldest human in One Piece at 141 years old. Only giants, Zunisha, and the 5 elders even come close to that age, so how in the world is she still alive? Additionally, she is one of, if not the best doctor in the world, being able to identify and cure a disease that hasn't been around for over 100 years, tell a man how long he was going to live to a T, and diagnose a fatal illness just by touching the patient's leg once. How does she have all of this knowledge? Well, I believe I have found a possible answer to these questions, and I'm so excited to share it with you. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't. Oh, and I also have a TikTok now. Honestly, I'm not sure how active I'll be on it, but I'll leave it in the description if you are interested in following. But with that being said, let's get right into this theory. So first off, I want to mention I started this theory looking at the D-Clan members, as coincidentally, Kureha has been alive for the birth of every D-Clan member we know of in the story, other than people from the 4th century, such as Nefeltari D. Lily, and another name I won't mention because I want to keep this anime friendly. The oldest one is Jaguar D. Sol, who is 127 years old, 14 years younger than Kureha, and the youngest one would be Nefeltari D. Vivi at 18 years old. Granted, we don't know how old Rox D. Sebek is, but he can't be too much older than Roger or Garp, who are 77 and 78 respectively. I want to mention this because Kureha is the first person who identified Gold Roger's name to actually be Gold D. Roger, and was the first to mention the Will of D within the story. This part doesn't connect to my theory per se, but I have a part that it could connect to, and I wanted to mention it in case you guys had any interesting theories about this, so let me know what you think in the comments. But to get us truly started, let's go back to Drum Kingdom for just a moment. We all love the scene of Luffy climbing the mountain to get to the Drum Castle to save Nami and Sanji. After Kureha finds the group and begins to nurse them back to health, we get to see the inside of Kureha's lab, and here I think that we can see some pretty interesting things. While she has this crazy looking bat chair with like dog feet on the bottom or something, it's kind of weird. On the walls, however, we can see some fascinating artifacts. Feathered skull helmets, golden necklaces, and various weapons line the walls of this room. Additionally, in her tree that she used to live in, she has a couple more of these decorations. These designs are almost identical to Shandian artifacts, the tribe on Skypia that was blasted up into the sky by the knock-up stream. The village chiefs wear very similar helmets to the one Kureha has in her room, and she even has a dream catcher kind of thing that is present in the chief's room in ancient Shandia and in the modern village hidden in the clouds. Real quick though, is it Shandia or Shandora? Shandians or Shandorians? I feel like they're all used at some point or another. Regardless though, it's very possible that she has some kind of a connection to Shandia based on these things. But to take it just a step forward, and maybe I'm pushing it a little bit here, her attire is also very similar to the Shandian style we see. Her pants resembled the same ones Kalgar and other Shandians wear, even being the same color of purple. The difference being Kalgaras are open on the sides. Her shirts in Chopper's flashback are somewhat similar to some of the designs that we see in Chandra. One in particular, looks exactly like the pants Nolan wears while visiting the island. Additionally, Kureha is shown to have a tattoo on her left leg while talking to Hiruluk on the bridge. This tattoo is interesting, as this is the only panel that we see it, but it does loosely resemble some of the tattoos the Shandian people have as well, though I will admit it's loose. Finally though, to tie up this connection, we are shown Chandia for the very first time. We see the village chief, Pantori, suffering from the tree fever disease. After he passes away, one of the men there says, quote, "First the old medicine woman, and now Pantori's life as well," end quote. Now why would Oda include this? We literally don't see this woman at all, and they specify the old medicine woman. It is just kind of strange to me. But why do I bring all this up? Well, if we continue Nolan's backstory a little bit, after he leaves Shandia, we see him go back to his home kingdom, called Livneel Kingdom. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Well, if we look at a different part of One Piece, something much later on in Law's backstory, we see that Law and Corazon visit a ton of different countries in search for a cure for Law's disease. Well, on one of these countries that they visit, we can see a very familiar castle standing in the background, and it just so happens that it is the Livneel Kingdom castle. Actually, later on in SBS Volume 77, Oda confirms that they did indeed visit this country. But why does that matter to us right now? Well, it just so happens that on this island is when Doflamingo contacted Corazon regarding the trade deal for the Ope Ope no Mi between a man named Diaz Barrels and the world government. Diaz was going to sell the Ope Ope no Mi to the government to become rich. However, he states that in history, a man ate this fruit and became a legendary doctor, being able to cure any and all illnesses. This is quite similar to Chopper's dream of becoming an all-purpose medicine capable of curing any illness. But once again, why would Oda mention this? Is it just to hype up the fruit? We don't know who this legendary doctor is, and who knows if we ever will, but I think I know what happened to him. Additionally, while this is a minor thing, in both of these flashbacks we get a greedy person in Diaz Barrels not caring about the power of the Ope Ope and just wanting the money, and the king of the Livneel Kingdom, who wanted to see the City of Gold just to take all the treasure for himself. Kureha is also a very greedy person. She basically admits that she's in it for the money. That is just a character trait thing though, so I don't know if it actually has anything to do with the theory, but I wanted to mention it. So after these connections from Kureha to Shandia, Shandia to Nolan, Nolan then to Law's backstory, my theory goes like this. What if the man who previously ate the Ope Ope no Mi was Kureha's past mentor or parent figure like she is to Chopper? The Ope Ope is not a free medical license, as Corazon states that you need medical knowledge to utilize it well. So that would explain why Kureha knows so much about medicine. She was taught by this doctor. Additionally, it claims that the doctor was legendary, so most likely they were able to work with the most extreme drugs and medicines. This could explain why Kureha had some NHC-10, the drug that Caesar Clown used on the children in Punk Hazard. According to Chopper, only a handful of doctors in select countries are able to use it by law, and he only knows about it because of Kureha. She had the knowledge and expertise to wield it. Well, what if one day Kureha was struck with a disease that even the legendary doctor in the Ope Ope no Mi couldn't cure? This somewhat lines up with the old medicine woman falling ill in Shandia. This event, similar to Corazon and Law's relationship, prompted the legendary doctor to sacrifice his life for her, and he used the Eternal Youth surgery on Kureha, causing his death and the fruit to be respawned elsewhere. This would, one, explain how she's so old, but two, how anytime she meets someone new, she questions if they were asking about the secret to her youthful appearance, as it is probably a traumatic memory in her mind. Losing her mentor for her sake, somewhat similar to Chopper's backstory as well. Additionally, this would add to her reaction to Chopper accidentally poisoning Hiraluk. Obviously, Kureha cared about Hiraluk, but the things that she said were oddly specific. Quote, "And remember this well, there's no such thing as a miracle cure. That's why doctors are needed. Listen, a kind heart alone won't save lives. You have to acquire knowledge and medical skills. Without those things, you can't save anyone." This small monologue reminds me a lot of Corazon and Law's relationship, where even with his kind heart, Corazon couldn't save Law's life. Obviously, he did eventually, but at the cost of his own life. If the legendary doctor did save Kureha in this way, this could also explain why Blackbeard came to Drum Island. As stated by Dalton, Blackbeard came to the Drum Kingdom and attacked the island, causing Walpole to flee. Perhaps he went there in search of the Obe Obe no Mi, as later in the story he attacks Law on Winter Island, presumably hunting his devil fruit. Additionally, Kureha has this line with Hiraluk that is very weird coming from her. She says, quote, "Still attached to this world, eh? Isn't it better to kick the bucket and get it over with?" How can someone who's over 100 years old say that? Maybe it's because she can't die. The Ope Ope fruit is keeping her alive. Now, as for who this legendary doctor could have been, I have two possible ideas for this. One of them is that he was a Shandian, and that would explain why Kureha has all of these ancient relics that look similar to them. We have knowledge of sky people coming down to the Blue Sea through Erouge, who is theorized to be a Birkin due to his wings. However, Oda drew him in an SBS as a kid, and there we see that he has the hairstyle of the Skypeans. We also have Kidatsu, who was sent to the Blue Sea after his own stupidity caused him to be launched through the clouds. While it is possible that he's a Shandian that made his way to the Blue Sea, my other idea is a little bit more reasonable. We learn from the Five Elders that devil fruits can have a will of their own, and we see that the Ope Ope went to Law, a D-clan member. So what if the Ope Ope is similar to Luffy's fruit, in that it's trying to stay in the line of these D-clan members, leading me to believe that this legendary doctor was also a D-clan member. That would explain why Kureha had the knowledge of the Will of D and Goldie Rogers' real name. To me, either way you look at it, you're either leaving out all of the relics in Kureha's room or her knowledge of the D-clan. However, I guess it's possible it could be both, but regardless, it's just fun to theorize. But as we close, I hope you enjoyed the theory and parallels I made here. I've been trying to come up with a Kureha theory for a while, and this is the first time I found something that lines up at least kinda well. I know it's a lot of speculation, but I can't think of too many things that outright break the theory, so let me know in the comments if it was trash. However, I want to mention one last thing, and if you've made it this far in the video, I'm glad. Thank you so much, and you get a cool piece of information I learned. While doing research for this video, I came across this. This is the wound that Nami received from Little Garden that caused her to fall sick. Does this look familiar to anyone else? Literally the 8 dots that we see on all kinds of stuff and a crescent moon in the middle. The bug that this was from is called a Kestia, and weirdly, Oda goes into a lot of detail about this bug. I'll keep it on screen here. I don't have any outstanding theories at the moment, but I wanted to share this and just kind of get it in everybody's minds because I've never paid too much attention to this before, and it's very interesting. Comment below if you made it this far what you think that this could possibly be a connection to. But with that being said, my name is Hunt. Actually, it's my middle name, and thank you for watching.